people. Welcome to Business Miles, powered by itilite. This is your host, Anish, wishing all of you a very happy new year. In my first episode in 2026, I'm going to talk with a guest from one of the most travel intensive industries, healthcare staffing. In this sector, travel isn't just a support function, it's the heart of the operation. You have to be precise, you have to be fast, and you have to be on top of everything to ensure doctors get where they need to without a hitch. My guest today is the one making that happen at National Medical Resources. I'm joined by Zachary Thompson, the logistics coordinator for NMR. He's the architect behind a complex nationwide operation, and today he's going to share his playbook on how he transformed their entire travel operation. Zach, it's a privilege to have you with us.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Zach, you've been booking travel for providers for over 4 years now. Can you walk us through how a typical day looks like for you?
Yeah, for sure. Normally my mornings consist of I meet with our accounting team every morning just because keeping that tidy is always good for our company, especially with a bunch of different travel receipts and whatnot that we have to keep track of for accounting. Then rest of the day pretty much is just reaching out to some of our future travelers for their preferences for what kind of flights they want, hotels they want, if they need specific cars, since a lot of our jobs are in the Midwest. So depending on the weather. And then I help out with some other random duties like recruiting and a couple of accounting things here and there at NMR.
Got it. And if you have to pick out the fun part in your day, what would be the most fun part in your day?
It would probably be meeting with some of our people that travel from, we have some international travelers. Some of our providers will come from different countries or farther east or west US, and hearing some of their perspectives on traveling to the Midwest can always be really interesting, and getting people's perspectives on that.
Got it. Yes, I'm sure that's interesting. Travel is one of the most fascinating things to do for precisely that reason. You get to see different parts of the world and different parts of the country as well. And then, US, the culture also shifts, Midwest versus coast.
Yeah.
So yeah, I suppose that that definitely would be a set of interesting experiences. Zach, when you're booking travel, what are the key success metrics?
I think one big thing that has helped me out a lot is getting to know the travelers, kind of what they prefer in terms of flight times, what they like, what they don't like, can help a lot with the process. We have some people that are very meticulous with how they want things booked, so I try to keep it as close to what they're comfortable with can help. Also, over communicating on certain things, especially because at our company every provider has somebody that recruited them, trying to keep them in the loop in case they reach out to them instead of me with travel plans, and just making sure that people get the correct itineraries and travel details.
Got it. So here's an interesting segue. You mentioned about keeping, over communicating with account managers who recruited the provider. So in your view, does the provider come first or the account manager does?
I think the best way to describe it would probably be that the provider does, because the account manager and I would be a team, and a big thing of our company is that we're all a family. So it's not that one person is more important than the other, but it's making sure that everybody is on the same page.
Got it. That's very helpful. And, in your experience, what's the best way to keep account managers happy in a way that can save their time?
I think it would just be making sure that they have all the information that I have on things, just because sometimes providers feel more comfortable reaching out to the account manager and saving them that time of they called the account manager, now they have to call me to get all the correct information. But just making sure that everybody has as much information as possible can save a lot of people a lot of time.
Got it. Now, NMR has an expanding travel operation. as you overseen this operation, at what stage did you feel it was not sustainable to book travel from consumer websites?
Yeah. So when I had started working here, we originally operated all of our travel bookings like on your average like consumer websites, but also tracked it all on an Excel spreadsheet. And when I came in, it was a little bit too much going on at the same time where I started looking into other travel booking softwares where we could have everything in house as well as we have our own scheduler that we can keep notes on. So being able to take those two and use those for tracking instead of having all information in other places was very helpful, especially when I started working here.
Got it. So just the sheer volume of data and managing that effectively was the key trigger point. Now, I know you used to use Concur for booking travel before you moved to Itilite. What worked well when you worked with Concur and what didn't?
Yeah. So some things that worked well with them, just being able to add people onto trips was nice because then people would get updated. Like I could add account managers onto it just so they would get updates for the trips was nice, but also with some of the negatives didn't necessarily work out the best. Our biggest negative with it was that a lot of our facilities have travel caps for certain like flight pricing, hotel pricing, and we have our own rates at some hotels, and Concur wouldn't allow us to add those rates, whereas you guys at Itilite do allow us to add those, which is very big because we can keep everything booked on Itilite for the most part and not have to track multiple different itineraries for our providers.
Got it. Got it. Okay. Anything else that worked very well, and anything else that you thought could have been better?
I Our other issues that we had were with payment methods because they went through a secondary payment method company to much like how you guys have like your like ghost cards that we can use through your platform and that's all tracked within Idolite.
Yeah.
Theirs was through a secondary company and getting in touch with them sometimes was pretty spotty and also not consistent, whereas with you guys we always can have the peace of mind that we have payment methods set up for people and I don't have to worry about getting a call from someone at 9:30 at night that they got to their hotel and there's no card on file, which is I think most people's fears.
Yes. That's a very important topic, and I'd request you to hold on to that thought. Now, you've been using Itilite for almost a year now. In this time frame, what's the biggest business impact that you've been able to create using Itilite?
Yeah. I think just being able to streamline itineraries and also like I was just talking about with the payment processes, being able to track all of that within Idolite and having just the accessibility to all of the options on the platform has been very helpful to the company and being able to track travel. And there's a lot less digging to find stuff for people, whereas we can just pull it up on Idolite and get people copies of anything that they need.
Got it. Got it. And I know you mentioned you already spoke about the benefits related to hotel payments, but could you talk more about that? What was the real problem when maybe you were with Concur earlier or when you were using consumer websites? And how have you seen that change with
Yeah,
Italite?
yeah, for sure. So I think the biggest holdup with it prior to having any like sort of ghost card kind of system where you guys generate cards for each stay is that the time save of not having to either call a hotel and like get those credit card authorizations to fill out so that they would be able to use our payment info and what's allowed to be charged on our card compared to what isn't has for me saved a bunch of time and frees up me being able to do some other stuff at our company.
Got it. You spoke about the secondary payment method over at Concur. I know even using that method, ghost cards were generated. But one of the things I've heard from, other guests I've had is the success rate probably was not as high. And you
Yes.
do that as well earlier in our conversation. So, if you are doing 100 hotel payments using that method, in your experience, what was the success rate like?
Yeah. I'd probably say it was probably like out of 100, probably like 75% of them went well, which I know to some people isn't like the worst. Like everybody can make mistakes with stuff, but it it impacts us when it's happens to the same provider,
Right.
because then it'll damage that relationship and they'll say, oh, well, why are we using this? There's so many issues with it, when in reality, it just happened to happen to the same person twice. And something as little as that can go pretty far away, especially in terms of locums.
Got it. Yes. This is one of the things I learned when I've spoken to guests from the healthcare staffing industry. The locum relationship is everything, and the locum experience is everything. Now, now I'm able to put two and two together. When you said that you almost always spend a chunk of your time every day talking to providers, um, those personal relationships and that chemistry, it definitely helps in keeping providers happy. So I understand where you're coming from.
Yeah, absolutely.
And with itilite, what would you put the success rate at?
Yeah, in terms of like any of those like payment issues, like we haven't had any so far. I think early on we had a couple, just because it was the hiccups of getting everything set up and properly set up with our bank.
Yeah,
But the consistency of it is a lot higher.
got it. Got it. That's great to hear. Um, we've spoken about a bunch of things about itilite. If itilite was your ideal software, or your ideal travel software, what additional capabilities would you want with itilite?
Yeah, for sure. The only thing I could specifically think of was kind of similar to the concur function of being able to either like CC people onto trips or like add them just so they get the updates. So then I would be able to add like our account managers or anybody that needs to be updated on the travel if there were to be a change or anything like that, would probably be the biggest thing, because right now I'm just forwarding all of our itineraries to our account managers.
Got it. Yes. And what else? What else could absolutely delight you with your experience?
I think that, sorry, let me think about this a little bit more.
That's completely okay. Take your time.
It would probably be just being able to, like, how similarly with like the flight approval process, how when you book a trip, it will give you they picked this flight, here's the like optimal flight for the trip. Being able to have that when just normally booking a trip. I know that you guys have like the recommended option,
Yeah.
but like for the trip as a whole, like
Got
once
it.
you select the incoming and outgoing flights, that you selected this bundle, here's either like cheaper price or better time.
Got it. Got it. Very useful. And I'm sure our product and engineering team would love this feedback. I'll definitely take it back to them. Well, Zach, this was it for today. I know your perspectives have been very helpful. Um, we speak to a bunch of people who are booking travel for providers across the healthcare staffing ecosystem. Among my audience are also many providers, and I'm sure they are very pleased to hear from you that their experience matters so much to NMR and to a whole host of other staffing companies as well. Thank you, Zach, for making time for our conversation today. Thanks again.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you so much.
All right. Zach, I'm going to pause the recording now.
Yeah.